Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Tonight, I'm Jennifer Danlicker, President of the League of Women Voters, Carroll County. And tonight, our program is being presented by Jacqueline Dost. Jacqueline has worked for over 25 years in the environmental arena. She was Executive Director of Keep Carroll Beautiful from 2007 to 2016. That job was centered around educating the community on the importance of taking responsibility for improving the environment in 4 key areas: litter, recycling, beautification, and education. She organized thousands of volunteers to assist in roadside litter cleanup, handling recycling inquiries, and promoting and hosting recycling events twice a year. She was named Woman of the Year in 2010 by Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. Her job now is to oversee county convenience centers, maintaining and upgrading them. Also, she oversees the transfer station and is working on educational programs concerning the detrimental impact litter and improper recycling can have on a community. So, Jacqueline, turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for that wonderful introduction. It is my pleasure to be here with the League of Women Voters, as well as streaming live on Facebook. It's also streaming on my Facebook, which I think is pretty cool in this world of technology that we can do this. As Jennifer said, my current role is Director of Solid Waste for Carroll County Government. I was appointed by the Board of Commissioners over a year ago now. This is the first time that this role has been created for the county. Up until now, the Department of Solid Waste has been under Public Works. And so it is quite an honor to be the groundbreaking first director for this project, very important project in our community. And I do, in fact, oversee all 10 of our county convenience centers, which, for those of you who are not familiar, they actually are the places where you go and drop your trash and your recycling off all around Carroll County. And I also am responsible for the transfer station, which is where 100% of every bit of trash that is created in Carroll County ends up. That is on Simonton Mill Road down the Bowden Highway. And we then transfer the trash, which is why it's called a transfer station, to the Grady Road landfill, which is owned by GFL Environmental. I also am responsible for the post-closure of our Carroll County landfill that's now been closed for 18 years, but we still monitor the wells and the methane discharge, make sure that the groundwater is clean all around the area as well. That is my responsibility, and I do that in partnership with a company that we contract with that goes out and does third-party checks once a quarter to make sure that everything is in order. Our transfer station is very old, and one of the tasks that I will be working on the next few years is to upgrade it. We currently take in anywhere from 200 to 400 tons of trash a day. If you want to know what that looks like, let me know and I'll send you some pictures, or come out and visit us on a Monday morning and you can see how much trash that actually is. Mondays and Tuesdays are probably our busiest because those are the days that the city of Carrollton runs their commercial and their residential trash routes. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we get their brush as well as their commercial trash, that we get that pretty much 6 days a week. And at the convenience centers, we are currently upgrading the Temple facility. If you've been there in the last 5 years or so, you know it has massively outgrown its capacity. It is also somewhat dangerous because you go in and out the same exit. So you have to be considerate of other traffic and other drivers. And we are currently in the process of finishing the grading and adding a second entrance so that you will enter and in one exit in one direction and exit in another, which is what you currently do if you visit the Noonan Road or the Dyer Road Convenience Center, which are our other two biggest centers. And those three, Temple, Dyer Road, and Noonan Road, are open 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday they're open from noon until 6. I'm not sure if, I know we're not recording this, but there we go. I'm going to encourage anybody that is on the Zoom to use the chat feature if you have any questions for me, or to unmute yourself and ask your questions that way. And for Facebook, I will go through all of the comments on the Facebook feed after this, obviously not during it. And if anybody has any questions or concerns, I welcome them to reach out to me. My contact information is on the Carroll County Government website. Solid Waste has its own page, and we are currently experiencing a countywide issue with our phone system. And so my cell phone number is the best way to reach me, either by text or by calling me. And that number is on that website, as well as my email address. I try to be decently responsive with email, but please be mindful of the fact that when I'm actually at the transfer station, neither my cell phone or my email work perfectly. So sometimes that's a bit of an issue. I was not given a list of questions. Jennifer, I'm not sure, are you going to be asking me questions, or would you just like me to talk? Or there we go. We have our first question. How much of the plastic at our convenience center is recycled, and how is it sorted? That's probably the question that we get the most about recycling, because plastic is the most problematic commodity that we recycle. It has the highest level of contamination. It is easily contaminated by a number of different things. Probably the biggest culprit there is the use of plastic bags. People just assume that plastic is plastic, and that if you put your plastic bottles in a plastic bag and put them in plastic recycling, that they will be recycled. And unfortunately, that level of contamination, as well as putting plastics with the numbers 2 through 7 in our recycling, or sorry, 3 through 7 in our recycling program, also causes contamination. And so unfortunately, when that happens, we have to make a judgment call, and then that plastic unfortunately ends up in the landfill. One of the items that Jennifer mentioned in my bio is education. We have hired an environmental educator that will be going around to all of the schools through the 4-H program and other programs in the schools to try to educate our school children. We try to do an okay job on our Facebook page, as well as we partner with Keep Carroll Beautiful to educate the public on the importance of not contaminating our waste stream. We have signage. We're working on improving the signage at our convenience centers, and we are always welcome to new ideas if people want to give us some. So plastic is definitely the most problematic thing that we recycle. I can pretty much with all surety sit here and guarantee to you tonight that 100% of the cardboard and 100% of the metal, 100% of the glass, and 100% of the mixed paper that you drop off at any convenience center does get recycled. I can't say that about plastic. So once our contamination rates go down, I'm hoping that I can assure you of the same level of recycling for our plastic bottles, namely 1s and 2s. The second question that we had is from Walter, and he asked about glass recycling. It actually was discontinued for a number of years. The glass market fell out the bottom, like so many recycling markets have, but I'm honored to say that in partnership with Keep Carroll Beautiful, now for over a year, Dyer Road and Noonan Road are recycling glass, and you do not need to separate the colors. The cullet, which is what the product of glass is once you crush it, it actually gets optically sorted before the glass gets crushed. And so we do not have to sort the glass at the front end. It goes in one big open top container to Atlanta, to Strategic Materials, and there it is separated and it is recycled. And actually there's a huge market for glass in the state of Georgia. There's a huge market for most recyclables in the state of Georgia, but I'm very proud of glass because it goes into a lot of mostly insulation is probably the biggest thing that our glass goes into. But I was trying to get some statistics together to share with you tonight. And so far in the first 6 months actually of the program that we recycled at Dyer Road and Noonan Road, we diverted more than 17 tons of glass from the landfill. That's huge for our county for 2 reasons. We currently do not get any revenue from recycling glass, but it is 100% a cost avoidance for us, because you can imagine 17 tons of glass being diverted from the landfill means that we're not actually paying to landfill glass. Glass is heavy, and so there's a lot of weight to that. And my light just went out. I'm not sure why, but we're gonna work without it. And so I'm really thrilled that we have glass back in at Noonan Road and Dyer Road. And once the Noonan or the Temple facility is upgraded and the construction is complete, we will also have glass recycling at Temple. So you can look forward to that, hopefully in the next 6 months to a year. The next
Can you
question,
tell me before you get off that topic,
Sure.
when you recycle glass, should you remove the lids?
I personally do, because I put them in the metal recycling or the aluminum recycling, because I'm a bit fastidious. If you know anything about me, I'm the crazy lady on Stewart Street who puts her trash bin out every week with probably a half a bag of trash in it, because between recycling and composting, I really don't generate a lot of trash. And so, but it's not necessary, Anne. These days, the way the recycling process works, a lot of it is done through really cool technology, and it will actually, through a series of eddy currents and magnets, it will take the metal away, and it will not contaminate the glass if you leave the glass lids or the collar. Some bottles have a collar, wine bottles in particular, and those are fine. You don't even have to take the labels off. I'd prefer it if you rinse them, but you know, if you're really fastidious about being a conservationist, you would consider that water to be a waste unless you use it as gray water for something else. So rinsing isn't necessary.
Thanks.
Anything else on glass before? There's a couple of questions in the chat that I want to get to while we still have time, but since I'm not hearing any, I'm going to go on to Fayetteville has a separate facility to allow the public to drop off brush, tree waste, and other vegetation. It's shredded, and then the public can come by and get free mulch. Is there any way to have a similar system? Probably not in my tenure. It is a very expensive program to undertake. Those shredders that you use to shred I'm familiar with them. Actually, Noonan has probably one of the best mulching composting facilities, as does Athens Clarke County in the state of Georgia. There's a lot of environmental rules around how you can actually do that. I know you think it's relatively simple, but unfortunately in our regulatory society, which has its pros and cons, it's not just that easy that you can just take something, shred it, and then put it back out into the public. There's a lot of monitoring and things that have to go along the ways. The county, I should clarify by saying the county owns some of those smaller versions of those shredders, but they use them for like our construction project at Temple. They came in and they shredded some of the trees, and they used that mulch along the border as protection from the silt runoff. But to do it on the level of the amount of volume that we take in at our transfer station, it would take years to come up with a program that we could make viable. I'm not saying it won't ever happen. It probably won't happen in the next 5 or 10 years while I'm probably running the program. The League has a program focusing on hazardous waste. Talk about the differences between hazardous waste and solid waste issues in Carroll County. That's an excellent question. Household hazardous waste is something that we struggle with because we do not knowingly accept household hazardous waste at the transfer station or at the convenience centers. The word solid waste means what you drop off anywhere needs to be solid. So we don't take paint, we don't take oil, we don't take chemicals that you might use in your yard that have either expired or perhaps you choose to not use them anymore. We do partner with Keep Carroll Beautiful, who at least once a year generally has a household hazardous waste drop-off collection. I believe they're planning one for the spring of 2023, and that will be an opportunity to drop those things off. Unless something is solid, we don't take it anywhere in Carroll County. And I know somebody had asked me a question once, I'm not sure if it was from the League or not, about what happens with hazardous waste that actually is transported through the county. I'm assuming they meant like by rail or by truck, and that is all regulated. And so if there is any kind of a spill, our fire department is trained on how to deal with that, and they will rectify that situation as best as they can, as fast as they can, with the minimal amount of impact to the environment. But I would definitely recommend following Keep Carroll Beautiful on Facebook and signing up for their newsletter to find out when household hazardous waste events are taking place. I'm not sure if that answered Geneva's question, but I hope it did. Did anybody else have any other questions? I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the improvements that we've made in recycling since I've began. Probably the biggest difference that I've made is the county now regularly gets paid for our recycling. Before it was a revenue neutral type arrangement with some of the people that we were contracting with. We now do make some income, and that income goes actually back into the general fund. The way I actually oversee 2 distinct budgets, and my convenience center budget is actually a product of the general fund budget for Carroll County Government. And so the income that we get from recycling actually goes back into the general fund. We're one of the few communities where our trash drop off and our recycling drop off is free of charge to the citizens. It is a very expensive program to undertake, and I cannot guarantee that it will be free forever. But there's also only certain ways by which we can collect fees from our citizens for a service that we're already providing. So I know the Board of Commissioners is working towards figuring out how they're going to continue to fund our convenience centers, and whether or not they will continue to let that service be free. It's not really free because you pay for it through your taxes, but whether or not we make that another stream of revenue for the county. The other, probably the biggest other thing that I have been able to accomplish, and I'm proud to say that I accomplish, is just sort of making sure that those the costs for both running the transfer station, which is an enterprise fund. If you're familiar with an enterprise fund, if you're not, I'll explain it. It means that the revenue that we generate covers the costs of running the center. We did have to go up on our tipping fees this year just because trucking and our contracts for hauling went up so much, as did our fuel costs and our parts costs to keep the equipment that we use out there running. But somebody is looking at that budget now on a regular basis, and is much more mindful of that. And as I said, the two big construction projects that I have before me, one of which we've started, is the Temple Convenience Center. And then it'll look similar to how Noonan Road and Dyer Road look, if you're familiar with those centers. And then the next big project that I have before me is to build us a new transfer station, and that's going to be a huge undertaking. Our transfer station was designed probably in the 80s and built in the 90s, and so it was not ever designed to handle the capacity of trash that we bring in every day, and we have to bring it in and store it and move it in a way that meets all of the regulatory compliances with the EPD. And I'm very proud of the employees that I have out there who do a great job to make sure that we do that. But we are grossly under capacity, and I would like to get that rectified before I go back into retirement. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I don't know if anybody's looking at the comments on Facebook. Has there been any questions pop up there, or is there anything else that any of you folks that are on Zoom have any questions about?
I've got another one. I remember years ago you talking about aluminum foil and how much energy went into creating it, that we should do more to recycle it. Can we take that and recycle that somewhere here in the county?
We cannot. Aluminum cans are probably like my favorite commodity on the planet to recycle. An aluminum can that you drink a soda or a beer beverage, or these days, what do they call them now? The seltzers in a can. You can turn around and 6 weeks later, after you put that can in the recycling bin, will be another can. It is one of the greatest. I am muted. Can everybody else hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh,
I can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just trying to see. But anyway, so aluminum is probably my favorite commodity to recycle, just because it is so easy to recycle. There's such a huge demand for it. Novelis is the largest aluminum can manufacturer in this country, and they have several plants in Georgia, and they don't get enough feedstock. So if you're a beverage drinker, please recycle your cans. In this age of online shopping and getting things delivered to our house, whether it's your HelloFresh meals or your Amazon packages. Cardboard is another huge commodity that there's a great demand for and is very easy to recycle. I think every one of our convenience centers takes cardboard. All that we ask is that you take the packaging material inside out of it and flatten the boxes. I know for residents of the city of Carrollton, you guys have been very disappointed that your curbside program has been discontinued, and I regularly get calls and questions about, can I start the recycling program again? Well, unfortunately, that's a city program, not a county program. So unfortunately, I can't. I can just say, if you only recycle one thing and you live in the city of Carrollton, the easiest thing probably for you to recycle is your cardboard boxes, because you can fold those up, you can put them in the back of your car or in your trunk and take them to the convenience center, and I promise you they're getting recycled right back into the Amazon boxes that you get your next shipment in.
Jacqueline, we do have a question. The city of Carrollton takes their solid waste to the transfer center, but where do the cities of Mount Zion, Temple, and the unincorporated areas of the county take their trash?
So the city of Carrollton and the city of Bowden, I believe, and the city of Villa Rica, I believe, are the only three cities that offer their residents regular trash pickup. We get all of that. And then in the rest of the parts of the county, you can either drop your trash off at any county convenience center, or you can contract with a private company and you can contract with a private company, and they will bring their trash, and they all bring it to the Carroll County transfer station. We just got another question. In rural areas, there is no curbside program. True. Do you find that income restricted persons and handicapped persons have barriers to get their trash taken care of? Does this lead to trash issues such as trash burning, or add to litter that adds up to environmental issues? Unfortunately, I can't really answer that question because I don't have a lot of information about that. I can tell you that our rural areas do see a lot of visual litter. For example, if we ever, sometimes I'll drive by somewhere and there'll be like a bag of trash on the side of the road. Well, I'm that crazy lady who I carry gloves and a shovel and a broom in my car at all times, and I will pick up that trash and I will open it up, and if there is any kind of identifying information, I will take that to the sheriff, and they deal with that. And so I'm very grateful that I have such a great relationship with both our codes enforcement as well as the sheriff's department to make sure that issues like that don't persist. And then, but I can't speak to the burning trash or further litter. I can't, unfortunately, they haven't made me queen of the universe yet, so I can't police everything everywhere. And so I do the best I can, but people that are used to burning their trash will probably always burn their trash. Is any solid waste sent out of the county? Yes, 100% of our solid waste is sent out of our county. We do not have a working landfill in Carroll County, and we haven't for 18 years. So every bit of trash that we generate is transferred. That's why it's called a transfer station, on big trucks, and it goes to the Grady Road landfill in Cedartown. Let's see. And since the city has stopped recycling, has the amount received at the convenience centers gone up a great deal? What percent? It's hard to accurately say what percent, because the city's recycling program stopped before I started my job, so I don't have good statistics. I can tell you that, for example, at Noonan Road, we've had to take extra measures on the weekend to make sure that we have enough capacity for the volume of cardboard that gets recycled every single weekend. Noonan Road is probably the closest and biggest convenience center to the Noonan Road convenience center, and so that's why that is the center that I believe is seeing the increased volume from the city's program since they've stopped it. We have 2 40-yard roll-offs for cardboard that are emptied every Saturday morning, every Friday day, and every Saturday morning. And we have a third container that is there on the weekend that the driver, because our recycling contractor that we take our cardboard to isn't open past noon on Saturdays. So anything that gets generated after that stays until Monday morning. We have a third 40-yard roll-off that we scoot into place, usually either Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, because we're running out of capacity. So that to me is the greatest indicator that yes, in fact, more people are recycling since the city stopped their curbside recycling program. But an actual statistic, like I said, I can't, because I don't have a starting number. But I can tell you that even in the year plus that I've been doing my job, cardboard has increased, especially on the weekends, especially at Noonan Road.
Jacqueline, we have a question from Jackie regarding aluminum cans and all those horrid plastic water bottles. Are companies beginning to produce water in aluminum cans?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they are. Even Solo cups. I should have used mine tonight. I'm using my University of West Georgia Go Wolves cup, but there is, and I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and I got a couple of the new aluminum Solo cups, because aluminum is such a great commodity, especially in the state of Georgia. Yes, you are going to find that more companies are producing water in aluminum cans. You know, bottled water is a tricky thing. I've lived in Carroll County for a long time, but not as far back as the scare with the water. Of course, I heard about it because I moved here shortly after that. But I will tell you, when you are drinking bottled water, you are drinking somebody else's tap water. I don't, unless you're buying $5 a bottle Fiji water, which I can't even guarantee that is something special. A lot of people do it for the convenience, but I mean, heck, besides my UWG bottle, I always have a refillable water bottle. My employees at the transfer station have refillable bottles, and we get water delivered in bulk, just because our pipes are not good. When we rebuild the transfer station, I can guarantee you we will have a filter on our tap, and people will be drinking tap water, because we are blessed in the city of Carrollton and in Carroll County in general. The city of Carrollton's water is award-winning drinking water. We don't fluoridize it, and it has won awards nationally for, I'm pretty sure, more than a decade now. Our water is that good. And just some people just have an aversion, or it's just an easy thing to just do it. But plastic water bottles is probably the most problematic commodity that we as consumers have. And, you know, I always, when I was on the speaking circuit for Keep Carroll Beautiful, I always started my talks by saying, I'm a Canadian, and in Canada, the 3 R's are reduce, reuse, recycle. And if you look at that hierarchy, the first thing is reduce. As consumers, we have a responsibility to make a decision before we buy something. And that includes, are we going to buy bottled water, or are we going to refill our reusable bottles? And then there's reduce. which is what can we do to reduce our waste. A lot of people are using, I know several of my girlfriends use those laundry detergent sheets, and they absolutely love them, just to reduce the plastic. I have several friends who use bar shampoo and bar conditioner. It's like soap, except it's for your hair, so that they don't use plastic packaging. So that's where the reduced part comes, and then the third is the recycle part. So if you just be mindful of what those 3 R's are in that order, perhaps that will help you make different purchasing decisions. The last question was about the fluoride in the city water. I can't speak to the county, honestly, Jackie. I don't know. That would be it should be on their website. It should be on their website, whether they do or not. And I know that the Water Authority has been going through a lot of changes, so I'm not sure how up to date their website is, but it would be a simple phone call to find it. Yeah, I'm not even going to guess. I'm not even going to guess. Recycling efforts in our different cities and efforts by businesses and industries in our counties. Again, that's a really difficult thing for me to say because I am not a commercial recycler. I can talk to you about who brings me their trash. I can't tell you what people do with their recycling. I know I personally support businesses that make an effort to recycle as much as possible. And I can name several businesses that I know make an effort to. They have a contract with a commercial recycler for their cardboard, for example. Off the top of my head, those would be Debbie Neal and Cheers at Cheers Beverage. You can imagine how much cardboard a liquor store generates. Osier Products, I know for a fact, has a bin outside their building and they recycle cardboard too. Same thing as a shirt manufacturer. You probably get a lot of input in boxes, so they recycle their stuff out. Irby, which is International Bakery and Restaurant Supply Company on Lovern Road, they recycle all of their cardboard. So I know, of course, Southwire has a huge effort. They were at one point on track to be zero waste. I'm not sure how close they got, but they fortunately have the resources to make monumental efforts to recycle as much as humanly possible. And you know, a lot of the bigger companies, they probably have that somewhere in their corporate mandate to recycle, and so they probably do. We're not aware of it, and so I can't really speak. I can't really speak too much to it. I know since I started with the county, we, in the building that I have an office in, which is Public Works, we immediately set up a place where we can recycle our cardboard, and so I know that we recycle that. And I was very fortunate that in this last budget round, I was able to hire a maintenance person, and probably by the end of the year or January at the absolute latest, we will start a more comprehensive recycling program in the county buildings, now that I have the manpower to do that. A lot of what holds people back is just manpower. You know, we're all stretched so thin, and that includes me, who, you know, every bit of cardboard that I can take to the recycle center actually generates money back into our tax budget. So obviously I'll try to do as much as I possibly can for the county, but you know, that's just one thing that we can all do to improve things on so many different levels. Were there any more questions? Anybody seeing anything else on Facebook? I've got it's streaming to my Facebook, but I can't see anything.
No, there are no comments on Facebook, but we do have a comment from Carol. Good job on getting us money for recycling.
Thank you. I mean, I'm a businesswoman first, always have been. You know, when you run a nonprofit for more than a decade, you get really, really good at pinching your pennies, and that to me was a no-brainer. And so I was happy that that I was able to do that.
Okay. I don't see any questions from Facebook.
Well, I want to thank you all again for this opportunity to come and speak to you all and to be part of your meeting and to stream on Facebook. Like I said, this is the first time that I've ever done that. And so I'm pretty excited about it. I hope it records itself. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll see. And again, if anybody has any questions or thinks of anything after the fact, I would be very honored if you'd reach out on the county website and give me a call or a text or an email, and I'll be happy to address your questions. And I hope you'll have me back on here again in another year or two, and we can give you some updates on what's new and exciting in Carroll County Solid Waste.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for such an informative program. That was really nice. For everyone that's on our Facebook, participants and members, former members, you know that early voting is underway. I want to remind everybody that it goes through November 4th, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 at the College Street location, 423 College Street. There are 2 Saturdays, October 22nd and October 29th, 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, that it will be available there. At the Powell Park Arts Center in Villa Rica, October 31st through November 4th, 8:30 to 5 o'clock. So everybody should be sure to remind everybody to vote, and that they can vote early. We're all looking forward to the election. All of the poll workers are all getting ready, I know. So I hope that everybody, we need to get some enjoyment out of our election season. It seems to get harder these days, but it is always exciting. So good luck to everybody working the polls. And we need to be energized. It takes a lot of energy to be there that long. So thank you all for attending. And does anybody, any members, anyone have any comments or anything you want to announce? Okay, well, thank you all. Good
I'm
night.
sorry, Jennifer, sorry, before you shut us off, I did actually forget one, and when you said announcement, I'm like, okay, so here's one more thing. Carroll County Government, in partnership with Keep Carroll Beautiful, November 12th through the 19th, we're doing a tire recycling event at the transfer station, which is 439 Simonton Mill Road, 6 days a week from 8 to 4. You can bring up to 10 tires per day. You didn't hear me say that. Up to 10 tires to the county transfer station, and they will be recycled for free. Normally there's a charge for them, but we were gracious to partner with Keep Carroll Beautiful and got a grant through the EPD to hold this event. And so we'll be doing it November 12th through the 19th. And I will send a flyer to your communications folks to perhaps you can put it on your Facebook page and your website to remind folks. And again, if you have any questions about that, just reach out to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's fine. We'll be glad to do that. Okay. Good night, everybody.